The life of Carlos Antonio Pineda, the first Salvadoran dancer in the Corps de Ballet, whose forgotten story reveals one of the many ways in which Central Americans contributed in shaping California's cultural institutions. And this is where it all started. For Carlos Antonio Pineda, born on May 8, 1907, in Sonsonate, El Salvador. His father, Pedro Pablo Pineda, was a bookkeeper, and his mother, Maria del Carmen Gutierrez, was a mother of 7 children, Carlos being the youngest. In 1917, Carlos was only 10 years old when tragedy strikes all around him. First, an earthquake leaves the city of San Salvador in rubble. Thousands die from a 6.7 magnitude earthquake, and within 35 minutes, the San Salvador volcano erupts, leaving hundreds more dead. I wish to extend to you my heartfelt sympathy in the terrible disaster that has overtaken El Salvador, and to express, in my own name and that of the American people, an earnest desire to render every possible aid and assistance to your country in its distress, and to the sufferers from this calamity. But for Carlos and his family, there are no words or telegrams from presidents that would comfort them. When later that year, the Pineda patriarch dies of a gunshot wound in Usulután. As their lives spiral down, the country is on an upswing. Coffee prices reach historic highs in the 1920s. The era is known as the Dance of Millions for the incredible wealth benefiting some coffee growers. On the other hand, wealth inequality also grew. The Pineda family lived comfortably, but without Mr. Pineda's income, new challenges abounded. Carlos and 2 of his older sisters, including Carmen, and her family are the first to leave for greener pastures. Carlos is now 17 and on board the SS Venezuela, headed to San Francisco. The ship arrives, and the anchor is dropped. Carlos finds himself in the middle of San Francisco's roaring entertainment industry of nightclubs, speakeasies, and theaters where silent movies were seen until the talkies took over in the late 20s. In the Western Addition neighborhood, Carlos and his family share an apartment. He is 23 years old and works as an elevator electrician, waiting for his big break. Outside, the city is flourishing. Cultural institutions and architectural gems are dotting the cityscape. And with the opera's popularity growing, the War Memorial Opera House, a permanent home for the opera, is built. On its opening night in 1932, Puccini's Tosca debuts with the legendary opera singer Claudia Muzio in the title role. The maestro adds a corps de ballet to the show, and included in the opera's program is Carlos Pineda. The corps is a hit, and the maestro brings in Adolphe Bohm, a renowned dancer with the Ballet Russe, to direct the dancers. Carlos continues to dance with the corps and shares billing with dancers like Nico Charisse, Dmitry Romanov, Guillermo del Oro, and the extraordinarily talented Mexican dancer, Maclovia Ruiz. They all share the stage, entertaining many of San Francisco's elites. Carlos performed with the San Francisco Ballet Company until 1939. His last appearances were on William Christensen's Romanian Wedding Festival and La Boheme, as the ballet was beginning to produce full-length ballet productions. Carlos marries Mildred Julian in Los Angeles on September 30th, 1939. She is a cashier in San Francisco at the Emporium department store, and the daughter of a Colombian mother and a Belgian father. Now, as a working actor in Hollywood movies, he lives between San Francisco and Los Angeles. This was Hollywood's golden age of cinema, and musicals were all the rage. As a professional dancer, this gave Carlos a leg up. His great niece, Francine, also shared that Carlos was in down Argentine way, a 1940s motion picture with Don Amici playing an Argentine playboy and Carmen Miranda as herself. Today, the film is part of the National Film Registry by the Library of Congress. However, bit parts and even background dancers on major movie productions hardly ever received credit for the minor but important roles they played. While Carlos was part of the ever-growing Hollywood movie-making machine and a contributing member of the San Francisco Ballet Company, his dance and movie career ends quietly in the 1940s, entertaining only the ones around him, his family. A family member out on the town with Carlos left an inscription inside a postcard that reads, "In memory of an unforgettable night with my adopted uncle Carlos, I wish one day he can show this to his children, and hopefully this will not be the last we have together with Elena and Hoyt." But Carlos never had children. In fact, he divorced and never remarried. He continued to work, falling back on his technical skills as an electrician, while the memories of his dancing and acting slowly faded away. Carlos passes away at the age of 87. Carlos and the Corps de Ballet's contributions to American dance and institutions remain in relative obscurity. Carlos Antonio Pineda, the first Salvadoran-born dancer with the San Francisco Ballet Company.
Qualcun venne per tua turbaria